Let us wade into the belly of ancient feminist discourse. Let's talk about Sabrina and Sydney. Disclaimer, I am obviously a man, so if that's going to occlude your ability to watch my video, please feel free to scroll. Second disclaimer, I do have a master's degree in sociology, so I'm not giving my opinion because I don't think I need to give my opinion on this. I think that I'm gonna do a little bit of a lit review. If you have not been in college for a long time, it's basically sort of looking at the literature that already exists to say what the scholars are saying so that we can have an overview of what's happening. Like I said, I have both my master's and my bachelor's in sociology. I studied under second wave feminists. So this is something that people have literally been arguing since the 1980s. The big split that caused the creation of the third wave of feminism in 1990 was this exact situation where a lot of people they call them the feminist wars and the SEX wars and the PRN wars. I can't say the O, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? The belief that if you are a sexual being and you are in control of your agency, are you still operating under the patriarchy or do you have agency, right? That's what the ultimate question always came down to. No one has an answer. They've been arguing about this since 1990. It's going to be almost 40 years of this. I will say one thing, I don't think Sabrina's album cover is successful satire, right? A lot of people in the comments are saying, it's satire, you just don't get it. But if it is indistinguishable from the thing that's being satirized, then it is not effective satire, right? Take one college class, they will tell you it doesn't work as satire if people don't know that you're joking. And that's not people being pretentious or anti-intellectual. That's literally the definition. If people don't know that you are making fun of them, then you're not making fun of them. You are literally just repeating what they are saying. People have been talking about this forever, as I've already said, but I think the point of this video is that in sociology, I always say this, sociology is the study of the macro, not the micro. So a lot of people think that when they make decisions, they are doing it as themselves, right? As individuals, which is fine. All of us are individuals. The problem is that when you ladder them up and you zoom out a little bit and you start to see these larger overall patterns, then you say, oh, that's interesting. To move us away from feminist examples, people get very, very defensive of their individual choices and they sort of are unable to realize what they're doing is problematic or deemed wrong in the larger overall society because they think that they are making the choice is their own to make and they're not realizing the larger overall effects. Two big examples where you can immediately see people get defensive about this in American culture. People are so weird about this. Racial preferences in dating. If you bring it up, people get so weird, especially white Americans. Two, when you talk about weight, right? If you ask someone, if you really drill down, it takes 4 questions. I used to do this all the time in grad school. 4 questions and you can get right to the bottom of it. Why is it important to you to be the skinniest person in the world, right? Why is it important to you to be skinny? And then you get into the larger overall power structures where you say, well, I don't want to be treated badly or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then it's okay, so you understand that this isn't necessarily kosher to say this, there's a problem here, but because you were saying it and you're well, I'm not everyone, I'm not speaking for everyone, then you're oh, I'm allowed to say this. You can see where I'm going with this, right? If you were raised in a culture, they used to call it R culture 20 years ago when I was first on the internet, you know what the R stands for. When you were raised in a culture where the abuse and degradation of women is standard and commonplace and sold and commodified, right? Think about CSI, think about Criminal Minds, think about all these shows, true crime, a genre that is built on the backs of women's bodies, right? This is what Americans think of as entertainment. If you are raised in that culture, if you are steeped in that culture, we are all lobsters and frogs in the pot. It is very hard for people to see themselves outside of the pot. So when you say, I am choosing to be the lobster in the pot, I'm choosing to be the victim or whatever, you are not necessarily saying it as yourself sometimes. Sometimes you become an avatar. And that's, I think, what's happening here, where Sabrina is not speaking as Sabrina, the person, right? She has now become larger. And that's why we're all having this conversation. To bring it back to what I was saying earlier, sort of with racial preferences and with weight and stuff, if the nose job conversation that Black TikTok was having a couple of weeks ago, if you try to interrogate these desires and these beliefs, people are unable to sort of separate them and they say, well, leave me alone. If you ask someone, why is it important for you to be the hottest, sexiest baby that's ever lived? They're gonna say, well, it's my choice, right? I'm allowed to want this. And then it's sure, but what is society telling you about this choice? There's also the BDSM element of it. There's a lot of theory in queer theory and the queer community and BDSM, and queer people are always fighting about this because there again is this element of if I'm choosing to be abused or degraded or whatever, then it is my choice, right? But again, if we live in a society that glorifies abuse and degradation, then is it really your choice, right? If you are wanting the thing that society is telling you you want, do you really want it? Again, to bring it back to an earlier conversation, if society is constantly telling you you have to be the skinniest, sexiest person in the world, and then you say, I want to be the skinniest, sexiest person in the world, it is very hard for people to see where that choice is happening. And again, sorry that I made this small, but people have been trying to square this in the BDSM community. This is like a feminist analysis of BDSM, and people are really, really trying because it's hard to realize that the things that you want are not like kosher. And Andrea Dworkin wrote about this in 1982 when she said that all BDSM is evil and like should be destroyed. Obviously, there are two extremes in between this, but like this is a conversation that a lot of people have been having for a long time. This video is already very long. Think about what I said. I am not going to say anything further, but like think about this.